Welcome to another episode of Attack of Opportunity. Today with me, as always, Andrew.
Hi.
And myself, Jose. Whee! And today we're talking about Warlocks.
So, you sold your soul to the devil. So, Jose.
Yes.
Warlocks.
Yes.
Now, I know the book says that they are seekers of knowledge.
Bullshit.
Yeah, that's actually the first thing I'm like, well, then Wizard of the Coast obviously doesn't know its crowd, because that's literally how no one plays a Warlock that I know of.
Seeker of power, maybe. But before we start, Andrew, can you guess the beer I'm drinking?
Let's hear it. All right, so it's in a can. That's it. That's all I know. It's in a can.
It is from Arizona.
Ooh. I actually don't know that many beers from Arizona. What is it?
It's a are you ready?
Yeah.
It's a Arizona green tea with ginseng and honey.
You're not drinking a beer.
I'm drinking green tea, brother.
I was like, wait a minute. Arizona. I actually got my phone and I started to Google Arizona beer. You fucker.
Nope. I had 2 beers in a row. I can't do that. There was an intervention happening between episodes.
Yeah, I kind of noticed during the Druid episode. I'm like, dude, you might want to.
So it's gonna be 1 beer every 3 episodes.
Yeah, that's what I told you to do.
Whatever, Andrew. You don't know me.
No, Andrew doesn't know what he's talking about.
You know what I'm talking about, Andrew.
Unlike you,
Yeah,
I'm having a Yingling.
you are.
Yep, a normal, not a Yingling Light this time, a normal traditional Yingling, which I've noticed they've changed the recipe back.
Right? They changed the recipe?
Yeah, because I think it was like something like 6 years ago, they like introduced like more wheat into the recipe, and it gave it like kind of a cereal taste.
Yeah.
Which was to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't like it, and a lot of people didn't. That might have been a shortage on like hops or barley or something like that, because it is affected by that. But they have since gone back to the traditional Yingling taste, which is delicious and refreshing.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta try the new ones then. I don't know. Is there like a difference? Is it like does it say like Yingling originals?
No,
Like
it's
Coke?
just Yingling. No,
Okay.
because do you remember the Yinglings that we had when we first started having them?
Yes.
That's what they taste like now. They've gone back to that original taste, because in between then and now, they introduced like a bit more wheat into the process.
You know what? I think I did notice that. Yeah, it was very like a cereal taste, like you said.
Yeah, and I don't know the actual specifics of it, but I do know that when something like that happens, it's because they're making up for a lack of a certain ingredient.
Right.
So, but yeah, they've since gone back to the original like balance between wheat and barley. So we're right back in form.
Do you know what's not original though? Selling your soul to the devil.
Selling your soul to the devil? No. Selling your soul to Cthulhu? Maybe.
All right, Andrew. So I know very little about Warlocks. Educate me while I drink my green tea.
Yes. Well, so Warlocks, first of all, I want to get this out of the way. I love Warlocks. And
No, you don't. You put them on your like number 12.
I will get to that. I love Warlocks in terms of a class building perspective.
You don't need to apologize to anybody, Andrew. Be yourself.
Okay,
don't lie to yourself.
So here's the laundry list of why Warlocks fucking suck. No. Warlocks I've always found to be super cool in terms of a character building like perspective, because there's so much you can draw from in terms of like what you can do, kind of like take this, tweak it a bit, make it your own.
Right.
It says here in the book that they are seekers of forbidden knowledge and stuff like that. I like to play it from the perspective that the warlock just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Isn't that just your life?
Yeah, pretty much. And a great old one's like, you will be my chosen one. And you're like, why? And they're like, that's not up for you to decide. Maybe once you're level 20, you'll know. Okay, so in terms of, so you have your wizard, who is the person that has trained and studied and has the Rocky montage and learning magic and stuff like that. You have the sorcerer, which is your X-Men mutant. At low, when he turned 12, all of a sudden he can start doing magic and it's freaking him out and stuff like that.
Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, what did you just say?
I said, yeah, exactly.
You saying that Doctor Strange is?
Well, no,
wizard?
I realize, Doctor Strange is a wizard, even though he's a sorcerer, and we're not getting into that. We're not getting into this.
I tricked you to say it backwards again. He is a sorcerer.
No,
he's a wizard, not a sorcerer.
Yeah, Doctor Strange is a wizard, not a sorcerer.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Anyways, so you have those two caveats. You have the person that trained and studied to have magic, and then you have the person that naturally has magic by their origins. Then you have the warlock, which took a shortcut and cut a deal with somebody.
It's like, fuck this, I'm not studying.
Yeah, no, studying is dumb. Studying is dumb, and I wasn't born with magic, so
They're the cool kids.
Yeah, exactly. This is the spellcaster that sits at the back of the bus with all the cool kids. So warlocks, they unlike the sorcerers and wizards who get their magic powers from studying and whatnot, the warlocks, they get their magic powers from their patron. It's described in the book that they get like an nth of a power of their patron, and that's how they can cast magic and whatnot. In return, they have to do something for the patron, or they just kind of have to get along with their patron in some way, shape, or form. I always like to have the idea that their patron is antagonistic, especially if you're going with a a fiend patron. where they're like, burn it all to the ground. You're like, no, stop. I need to. Could you just please for a second like not tell me that?
Do it.
Burn them all. No.
Can my warlock be a dark side Kermit the Frog? Yes,
exactly. Yeah, and that's kind of the cool thing about a patron is because as a player, you can kind of set it up to be whoever your patron, like whoever you want them to be.
Right.
So, if they're a fiend, they're obviously going to be a devil or a demon of some kind. If they're a Feywild, you can get a little looser with that and be like, oh, they're the queen of the summer court or whatever. If you want to get real bananas, you can make it a great old one and just have it be whatever you want. Because I think I told you one time that like I had an idea for a great old one warlock where they worship the moon. And
you did tell me about that.
And it's not because they worship the moon, but they worship whatever's inside of the moon. And you're like, what's inside the moon? And I'm like, I don't fucking know.
I'm gonna play it safe though.
Yeah. So, but they know there's something in there. So yes, we're going to get into the nitty gritties on like the spell casting and whatnot, but a lot of cool potential what you can do with a warlock. So, they out of the three main spellcasters, I know I'm not including druids into spellcasters. I'm sorry, but I'm just talking about I'm talking about just arcane, not like nature based or anything.
I'm telling.
Who are you telling?
Don't worry about it. I'll tell. I'll tell the moon.
I'm gonna have the FBI knock down my door. Are we gonna get stream sniped? Is that what's gonna happen? Are we gonna get swatted? No. So surprisingly, out of the three arcane spellcasters, they get the most hit points, like potential. they get a 1d8 per Warlock level, which already tells you these guys are supposed to be taking more hits. However, they get proficiency in only light armor and simple weapons. They do get a saving throw in wisdom and charisma, which is kind of wisdom saving throw. Yes, charisma saving throw. Okay. I don't really see that happening a lot, but you know. So you still with me?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. So right out the gate, level 1, they get to know 2 cantrips. They get 1 spell slot, and they know 2 spells. Wait, 1 spell slot? What the hell? Why do they only get 1 spell slot? That makes them useless. No, it doesn't. Because, yeah, they only get 1 spell slot, but they get their spell slots back at a short rest.
Oh, yeah.
Again, doesn't seem like a big deal, but it really does, especially in a dungeon setting. So, and we'll get to why it's better. Or not better, but we'll get to why the justification is they only get like X amount of spell slots. So, and then you get Eldritch Invocations at level 2, which is kind of, bits of boosts here and there. We'll get into that a little bit later. And then at level 3, you get your Pact Boon, which is so you've already made your pact with your patron. You sold your soul to a pit fiend or whatever. And at level 1, you get these kinds of spells and whatnot. At level 3, they kind of, hey, you want to keep, you want to keep riding this ride, and they give you, they give you a little something extra, which is Pact the Chain, which basically breaks it down. Pact the Chain's familiar. Pact of the Blade, you're more of a melee focused spellcaster, and Pact of the Tome, you're more of a spellcasting. So, you got those 3 there. Level 4, you get your improvements and whatnot. At level 11, you get something that's called the Mystic Arcanum, which means you get to choose 1 6th level spell from your Warlock list and choose this as your Arcanum. You can then use that spell without using a spell slot, and you have to finish a long rest before you could do so again.
Oh, cool.
Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, well, that's not that great, blah, 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 because, they only get to use it 1 time. And, they're kind of right, but there is a reason for that. But at higher levels, you get a 7th level spell at 13th, 8th level spell at 15th, and a 9th level spell at 17th. You regain all uses of your Mystic Arcane when you finish the long rest. So at each of these levels, you get 1 of these. So, yeah. So at 11th, you get a 6th, so on and so forth. So you get 1 6th, 1 7th, 1 13th, 1 8th, and 1 9th level spell. And they're free to use. Don't use your spell slots, which to me, kind of handy, actually. And then at 20th level, you can spend 1 minute talking to your patron. It says entreating, but you can talk to your patron like, hey, you want to give me a hand here, and you get all your spell slots back.
Nice.
Yeah. So, which means you don't even need to take a short rest. You can just be like, hey, there's a boss fight up ahead. Hold on. And we're good. Okay, let's go. So, all right. So the subclasses, quote unquote subclasses, I say that because in the episode where we ranked the classes, I made a point. There's a lot of stuff going on with the Warlock.
Yeah.
So it's not really so much there are 3 subclasses. There are 3 subclasses for the subclasses. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's one thing to keep in mind that every patron you have a pact, right?
Yeah.
And it says it right here. There's a little sidebar that says your pact boon. And if you're a Pact of the Chain with your Archfey, it could be you have a Sprite or a Pseudo Dragon. If you're a Pact of the Chain with your Fiend, you could have an Imp or a Quasit. If you're a Pact of the Chain with a Great Old One, you can have something that's inscrutable. Any familiar form is suitable for it. So it's just go nuts.
Right.
If you're a Pact of the Blade with your Archfey, you could have a slender blade wrapped in leafy vines. If you serve the Fiend, your weapon can be an axe made of black metal adorned with decorative flames.
Badass.
Or if you're a Pact of the Blade with a Great Old One, your weapon might be an ancient-looking spear with a gemstone embedded in its head, carved like a terrible and blinking eye. So it's like, take any one of these three and kind of shape it, flavor it towards your patron.
The flames on the axe makes it faster.
Yes, it gives it a +1 to speed.
Yeah.
Personally, I feel like there is a good combination for each of these patrons. Like, if you're the Archfey, probably be like a Pact of the Chain. If you're a Great Old One, you probably want to be a Pact of the Tome. If you're the Fiend, probably Pact of the Blade. Again, these aren't like scientifically tested and proven, but it just feels like, to me, that's kind of what they were leaning towards. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I hear you.
So essentially what it is that each patron, because if we go down the list, this whole thing, we're going to be here forever.
Yeah.
Each patron gives you a bonus spells from the spell levels 1 through 5.
Expanded spells.
Expanded. Yes. And then each patron kind of gives you class benefits according to that. So essentially what it is that the Archfey is that you're going to be sort of manipulating people a bit more. Like you're going to be charming people. By the way, the Warlock is a charisma-based class, so that does lean into this.
Right.
You're going to be like manipulating people more, and you're going to be kind of more slippery in terms of that kind of stuff. The Fiend is almost purely damage.
That. Burning Hands, Fireball, Fire Shield, Flame Strike, Hollow, Wall of Fire. Jeez.
And then my personal. What's up?
Oh, okay. Never mind.
What's up?
No. I thought it was at which level you get these spells.
No. That's a spell level. No.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, ooh.
Yeah. So, and these are added to your spell list right away from level 1. It's just, can you cast them? No. Oh,
right.
Sorry. Right. My personal favorite with the Fiend is Hurl Through Hell, which starting at level 14, when you hit a creature on the attack, you can use this feature to instantly transport them to the target to the lower planes. The creature disappears and hurtles through a nightmare landscape. At the end of your next turn, the target returns to the space it previously occupied or the nearest unoccupied space. If the target is not a Fiend, it takes 10d10 psychic damage as it reels from the horrific experience. This is the part of what was it? Thor Ragnarok? Where Loki's like, I've been falling for 30 minutes. Yeah.
Perfect.
And then the Great Old One is probably, to no shock to anyone that knows Lovecraftian, it deals with a lot of like mental stuff, like Tasha's Hideous Laughter, Dissonant Whispers, Dominate Person. Like this is very like where the Archfey is manipulating your surroundings, and the people's like perception. The Great Old One is manipulating the person's mind and stuff like that. Like it's very much like getting into the headspace of these people. And at level 14, they can create a thrall, which means they are charmed by you until remove curse is cast on them, and you can communicate telepathically with them. So there is a lot of, weirdly enough, as much as I like the Great Old One, mechanically, it's probably not my first choice. Like I would probably go with
Is this the one that Heather's playing?
No, the one that Heather's playing is the one that's in Xanathar's. We'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's that. And then they have Eldritch Invocations, which this is sort of filling in the gap for the fact that they can't cast a lot of spells.
Right.
Like, for instance, like you get Beast Speech, which is speak with animals at will. You get Armor Shadows, which is mage armor at will. There's another one here that's really, really good. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that deals with Eldritch Blast, because Eldritch Blast is pretty much the main, like the bread and butter for Warlocks. There's another. Hold on. There's one really good one here. Silent image. Anyways, so there's a lot of things here that you kind of have to cobble together to make a functioning spellcaster. This is sort of the what's the proper analogy? It's like you've built a car out of parts that didn't come from the same manufacturer.
Right. They all fit together, they work.
But it still runs. It technically runs, you know? So the one really cool thing about the Warlock is that if you look at the table for the Warlock, right next to spell slots, you'll see slot level. And this is something where it says level 1 first, blah, blah, blah. And then it caps off at 5. What that means is that if you're casting any spell, even if it's a level 1 spell, you're casting it at 5th level. You automatically cast it as strong as you possibly can according to the Warlock table. And it doesn't play against your spell slots because you only have X amount of spell slots anyways.
Right.
You saw this. Everyone saw this in action during Curse of Strahd when Heather would just pop Hellish Rebuke at like 3rd level and essentially explode the person that attacked her. So yeah, no, it's really that's one of those things. It's like, that's one of those things where it's like on paper it sounds cool, but then when you see it in action, you're like, oh shit. You know. And again, they get their spell slots back at the end of a short rest.
Damn.
Yeah. So
it could be. It's like what I'm seeing here. Like if you build it correctly and you know mechanics of the Warlock, it could be potentially a devastating class.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing I had to say against the Warlock is that you really have to know the full breadth of your character before.
Yeah. Like you actually have to study it. It's not something you can just like, oh, look, this just, this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because along with the things that you can do that your patron grants you, the boons, and especially the Eldritch Invocations, this is a very roundabout way of making a spellcaster.
Right.
I'm being serious when I say you are cobbling together a spellcaster. Like this is very non-traditional.
Which, I mean, if you think about it, is very thematically correct because they are not naturally smart nor naturally gifted with magic. So what does a person that can't do either one does? Sell their soul to the devil and get what they can and make it work.
Right. It's like it's supposed to be the Warlock is supposed to come off as like their magic is unnatural.
Right.
Like
right.
very, very much unnatural. And they're just supposed to be able to just do this stuff, which again, I think that really leans into the whole, the Warlock is granted benefits by its patron, even if it doesn't want them.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I were to play a Warlock, that's how I would play it. It's like, no, stop giving me power.
I don't want this. Take it away, please.
I never asked for this. So
Andrew.
Yo.
So you got your powers by making the contract with something? Mm-hmm. Is it in writing? Perchance? Well, never mind. Just tell me this. Can I get your power by eating you?
What?
Thoughts by the Xanathar.
Oh, is that what it says in Xanathar's guide?
Yeah.
What?
He's essentially just wondering if he eats the Warlock, will he get his power?
Okay.
I love this book so much. Oh, never mind. Just tell me this. Can I get your powers by eating you?
But one thing I think is really cool that's in that going back to the player's handbook before we get into Xanathar's is that's like, what kind of relationship do you have with your patron? Is it friendly, antagonistic, uneasy, or romantic? I seduced a great old one. That's how I got these powers. I do that. You really don't want to know how that happens.
But I got my powers though.
You're not ready for this conversation.
This is going to be a tech of opportunity after dark.
At nights.
Oh man. Oh shit.
So going to Xanathar's does it does expand the Warlock to where, all right, so you had the Warlock in the PHB to where it can cast stuff that manipulates the surrounding, and then it can also do offensive stuff, and then it can kind of do like, I don't want to say mechanical, but like status effect spells. Mm-hmm. But then you introduce the Celestial, which essentially makes them a support class.
Let me read.
Yeah.
Your patron is a powerful being of the upper planes. You have bound yourself to an ancient, Empyrean? How do you say that? Empyrean. Solar, Kirin, unicorn, or other entity that... that's cool. It can be a unicorn. I thought you guys were kidding with that.
No.
Or other entity that resides in the planes of everlasting bliss. Your pact with the being allows you to experience the barest touch of the holy light that illuminates the multiverse. Being connected to such power can cause changes in your behavior and beliefs. You might find yourself driven to annihilate the undead, to defeat fiends, and to protect the innocent. At times, your heart might also be filled with longing for the celestial realm of your patron, and a desire to wander the paradise for the rest of your days. But you know that your mission is amongst mortals for now, and that your pact binds you to bring light to the dark places of the world.
So right away, I kind of feel like this is Wizards of the Coast, like attempt to be like, okay, look, warlocks aren't entirely fucked up.
They're not all evil, damn it.
Well, no, because it's just like when you read the player's handbook, you're like, this is probably one of the darker classes.
For sure. Yeah.
You know. Yeah, so they get an expanded spell list, bonus cantrips, and then they get Healing Light, which we've already seen that in action.
Yes.
But their spell list, okay, so right away they get Cure Wounds and Guiding Bolt.
Oh, nice. Wait, Heather has Guiding Bolt?
Yes, Heather, you do have Guiding Bolt. I'm speaking to you directly because I know you're listening. And then they get Flaming Spear, Lesser Restoration, Daylight, Revivify, Guardians of Faith, Wall of Fire, Flame Strike, and Greater Restoration. So it's essentially, except for Flaming Sphere, it's essentially all cleric spells, except for Wall of Fire too.
What level can she cast at level 6?
At level 6, she can cast third level.
Ah. Okay, yeah, I was going to say, you have Wall of Fire this whole time?
Yeah, no. They're one level away from casting Guardians of Faith and Wall of Fire.
Oh my god.
Use those spells. Those are good spells.
So close.
And then also at first level, you gain Light and Sacred Flame with cantrips. Sacred Flame. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you get
the only thing with Sacred Flame is just that freaking dexterity save, man. Most creatures can actually make that save.
Yeah, that is definitely one of those things. Well, you kind of have to know what you're going up against.
That's true.
Yeah, because, if it's like a hulking brute, it might not make a dexterity save, but you never know. And then you get the Healing Light, which we've already seen.
What if it is some sort of like crazy guardian of some sort of like dragon house somewhere that it has some big sword? Do you think that monster can make the saving throw?
Easily. I know what you're trying to do.
Damn it, Andrew. Now you guys know. Don't use Sacred Flame.
This is going to come out 3 weeks after that encounter. You realize that? If only we had known. Anyways.
Right.
So then they get heal again. This is all at first level. So then they get healing light, which it gives them essentially it's free healing because it's a bonus action. You can spend dice equal to you can spend d6s equal to your warlock level plus 1.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then the maximum number of dice you can spend at one time equals your charisma modifier. So there's that. And yeah, so then you get those d6s back when you regain a long rest.
Oh, neat. I didn't know that Heather could heal like that. So we essentially have 2 healers.
That's how she hit. That's how she's been healing. I've seen her use that a couple of times.
Oh, I haven't been paying attention.
No, you haven't. That's all right. That's not your wheelhouse. You're doing damage. So
I just want to punch things.
And then at 6th level, when you gain resistance to radiant damage, and then when you cast anything that does radiant or fire damage, you add your charisma modifier, which that's something that Heather's been doing. That's why she's saying, "Oh, add +3."
Yeah, I thought that was just a what's it called? Some sort of boom that you got. Well, it is because you got it at level 6.
Okay, so Celestial Resilience. So at level 10, you gain temporary hit points whenever you finish a long or short rest. These temporary hit points are equal to your Warlock level plus your Charisma modifier. Additionally, choose up to 5 creatures you can see at the end of a long rest. They gain half of those hit points plus your Charisma modifier.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so it's just like, hey, let's all get a quick boost before we go in there.
Searing Vengeance. That sounds scary.
Searing Vengeance. You want to read that one?
Yeah. Starting at level 14, the radiant energy you channel allows you to resist death. You have to make a death saving throw. When you have to make a death saving throw at the start of your turn, you can instead spring back to your feet with a burst of radiant energy.
Water's always cold.
You regain hit points equal to half of your hit points maximum. Damn, really? Okay. And then you stand up if you so choose. Each creature of your choice that is within 30 feet of you takes radiant damage equal to 2d8 plus your charisma modifier, and it is blind on. Damn, Jesus.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, ain't it?
Yeah, dude, that's woof.
So that yeah, so that makes it to the point where you don't want to down the Warlock.
Yeah. That's dangerous. 2d8 plus your charisma modifier, geez. And Warlocks are charisma based, so you're probably gonna have a pretty large pool of charisma modifier.
At 14th level, if you're not taking feats, you probably capped out your charisma modifier by then.
That's true.
So the Celestial, like I said, I kind of feel like it's Wizards of the Coast backpedaling. Hey, look, we're here. There's a friendly Warlock. It's not all messed up.
But then the next one is the Hexblade.
Yeah, the next one's like, okay, you know what? Fuck this. Okay, so while the Celestial is all about like, oh, light and gods and stuff like that, the Hexblade is that you made your pact with a mysterious entity from the Shadowfell, already off to a good start. The mighty sword Black Razor is notable for one of these weapons. A force that manifests into sentient magic weapons carved from the stuff of shadows. The mighty sword Black Razor is the most notable of these weapons, which have been spread across the multiverse over the ages. The shadowy force behind these weapons can afford power to warlocks whom pacts formed with it. Many Hexblade warlocks create weapons that emulate those formed in the Shadowfell. Others forego such arms, content to weave the dark magic of their plane into spellcasting. Because the Raven Queen is known to have forged the first of these weapons, many sages speculate that she and the Force are one, and that the weapons, along with the Hexblade warlocks, are tools she can use to manipulate events on the material planes to her inscrutable ends. Oh, that was a bit of a weird one. So, right. This is one of those things that, like, I feel like just obviously from the name and the flavor text, like this is. It's like, I'm going to play a Pact of the Chain Hexblade. No. No, stop. Let me stop you right there. Okay, so the expanded Hexblade list is you get Shield and Wrathful Smite. which you get a smite spell
at level 1.
At level 1, right? And shield, which is like, you know, automatically says, "Hey, I'm going to be in the thick of it."
Yeah.
You get blur, which is really good, and branding smite, second.
Another smite.
And then you get blink, an elemental weapon, and then phantasmal killer and staggering smite, and then banishing smite and cone of cold. So this is pure, like, all right, you if you want to be a Pact of the Blade, I'm not going to say you need to be a Hexblade, but it's really recommended because it's like going all in.
I can see that. Jesus Christ.
All right, so the Hexblade's curses. Starting at level 1, you gain the ability to place a baleful curse on someone. As a bonus action, choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. That target is cursed for 1 minute, which is a long time in combat. That's 10 rounds. The curse ends early if the target dies, or you die, or if you're incapacitated. Until the curse ends, you gain the following benefits. You gain a bonus to damage rolls against the cursed target. The bonus equals your proficiency bonus. Yes. Hell yes. That's essentially rage damage.
Yeah.
Any attack roll that you make against the cursed target is a critical hit on a roll of 19 or 20.
Oof.
Which is that's something that the champion fighter has, I believe. Yeah, improved critical gives you that. And if the cursed target dies, you regain hit points equal to your warlock level plus your charisma modifier.
Damn.
So there's something else that gives you that too. I want to say the necromancer subclass and the wizard gives you that. Already at level 1, you get 3 features that higher up classes get. You know, you get you essentially get rage damage, you get improved critical, and then you get the one for the necromancer and wizards. I forget exactly what it is, but you get temporary hit points when you down an enemy.
This is a nice mix.
Yeah. The Hexblade is awesome. Which I think I might know what my character's gonna be.
Damn it,
I told you I got that Warlock in the chamber, man. It's been sitting there. So and then get this, at first level, you essentially gain proficiency with medium armor, shields, and martial weapons.
Damn.
Yeah. So and then let's see, the influence of your patron also allows you to mystically channel your will through the particular weapon. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can touch one weapon that you're proficient with, and that lacks the two-handed property. So it has to be a one-handed weapon. When you attack with that weapon, you can use your charisma modifier instead of strength or dexterity for attack and damage rolls. Yes. Yes. So this is your weapon. This is my sword. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
It's great because I turned the page and I see the freaking illustration for the Hexblade.
Yeah, so this is essentially the Hexblade. The Hexblade, if I remember correctly, I'm probably getting this wrong, but hear me out. The Hexblade in 3.5 was an actual class in of itself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it was, if I remember correctly, it was just a spell casting, like, melee class, which I think they kind of broke that up into the Hexblade for warlocks and then the Eldritch Knight for fighters. So this is sort of the, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Horseshoe effect kind of deal, where on one side you have spell casting, on one side you have melee, and at the very end of that horseshoe you have the Hexblade warlock and the Eldritch Knight fighter, where it's like they're not a perfect 1-to-1, but they're damn near close.
Yeah, dude. Damn, I freaking that Hexblade warlock, and
that's at level 1.
So if Vesemir dies next session,
is his twin brother Vesemir gonna be a Hexblade?
more than likely, yes.
We're gonna have 2 warlocks in the group.
Hey, what's up?
Just let me show you how a real warlock does it. Whoa, bam!
What is the good is doing here?
No, don't. It's already hard enough to keep up with one patron.
No, don't kill Vesemir.
And I'm not going to kill. Well, I had to stop myself there.
I can't guarantee anything.
Yeah, I don't. I don't want to kill Vesemir. Whether he lives or not is an entirely different thing altogether.
Dice rolls have spoken to.
Yep, exactly. And also, if you look at the top of the page for the Xanathar thing, it says Hexblade. What a cool name! So is your sword evil or cursed or something? But you're evil, right? Okay, now I don't like the name. Names aren't cool if you don't make sense. Like mine, the Xanathar. See, it's cool and it makes sense.
I love it.
So already at level 1, I'm super for the Hexblade.
So what happens at level 6, Andrew?
Oh, hold on a second.
Oh God, jeez.
I'm joking. Attack of opportunity dies live. Okay, so at level 6, you get something called the Accursed Spectre. Ooh. Starting at 6th level, you can curse the soul of a person you slay, temporarily binding it to your service. Jesus. When you slay a humanoid, you can cause its spirit to rise from the corpse of a specter, the statistics of which are in the monster manual. When the specter appears, it gains temporary hit points equal to half your warlock level. Roll initiative for the specter, which has its own turns. It evades your verbal commands and gains a special bonus to its attack roll equal to your charisma modifier. The specter remains in your service until the end of your next long rest, at which point it vanishes into the afterlife. Once you bind the specter with this feature, you can't use the feature again until you finish a long rest.
Damn.
So just imagine.
So you don't know, I don't only kill you, I make you work.
So you're fighting a Hexblade Warlock, and you die by a tan. And you're like, oh, well. So you're fighting a Hexblade Warlock, and it manages to kill you. And you're like, oh, well, I've been faithful to the god Paylor. He's going to welcome me home, and I'll sit at his right hand. And the Hexblade Warlock's like, nah.
Nope.
no, you ain't. Like, even in death, the Hexblade Warlock spits in your face.
No, your play is trash.
Yeah, exactly. So this is like the yin to the celestial patron's yang.
Yeah, like 100%.
Oh boy. Okay, so then at 10th level you get the armor of hexes. At 10th level your hex somehow grows more powerful. If the target cursed by your hexblade's curse hits you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to roll a d6. On a 4 or higher, the attack misses you regardless of its roll.
What?
Yeah, so there is a 50-50 chance that it could just nah,
bro.
it just doesn't hit.
Jesus.
And then at level 14 you get Master of Hexes. Starting at 14, you can spread your Hexblade's curse from a slain creature to another creature. When the creature cursed by your Hexblade curses dies, you can apply the curse to a different creature you can see within 30 feet of you, provided you aren't incapacitated. When you apply the curse in this way, you don't regain hit points from the death of the previously cursed creature. So it's one of those things like, it's essentially you get to move your curse onto somebody else, because unlike Hunter's Mark or something like that, where you can use like a bonus action to move the Hunter's Mark around, the curse can only stay on one person. And then when when the curse is dead, when the curse thing dies, the curse is over. So
I see. That's helpful. You just move it. Like, nope, you're next.
Yeah. So it's one of those things like, it's okay, but it is useful, you know. Because again, I feel like Wizards of the Coast is like, all right, we made the Hexblade too cool. We got to downplay what the 14th level is, because then no one's going to play anything else if we don't do that. But then there's some new Eldritch Invocations, which there's too many to list right now. But there is a cool one that is Aspect of the Moon, which means to gain the benefits of the long rest, you can just spend all 8 hours doing light activities, such as reading your Book of Shadows or keeping watch. So you don't have to sleep anymore.
Huh.
Yeah. So, and you're not affected by sleep, or you can't be forced to go to sleep. You're immune to the sleep spell. There's Eldritch Smite, which means you do an extra. You can expend a Warlock spell to essentially cast Smite on your Eldritch Blast.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Or just whatever your attack is. Plus another 1d8 per level of the spell slot, and you can knock the target prone if it's huge or smaller. There's another one in here that I thought was really cool. Yeah, we'll get back into that. The Lance of Lethargy, which is when you hit a creature with your Eldritch Blast, you reduce that creature's speed by 10 feet until the end of its next turn. So, or the end of your next turn. So it's one of those things that's like, doesn't seem useful on paper, but when that creature is like 40 feet away from you and it has a reach weapon, guess what? It's still not going to hit you. So,
damn. Yeah. That's crazy. I think I like the Hexblade a lot.
Yeah.
I like all things Celestial, but the Hexblade, oof.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The Hexblade just seals it for me. I mean, and the thing about the Celestial is that it's like, yeah, you can cast Cure Wounds at a super high level, but I only have 4 spell slots, man. So it's like, I'm sorry. So yeah, what do you think of Warlocks? Have I sold you on them?
Well, at the beginning, it gave me a little bit of a headache just because of how many different moving parts there is. But then it all made sense later on down the line, especially with the Hexblade. Ugh. I saw the Matrix.
Yeah, and this is one of the things. Don't forget, all the Hexblade stuff, you still get the stuff that's in the base Warlock class.
Right.
You know? Yeah. So,
it's pretty cool. Man, you can't really beat the Hexblade. That was really cool. But I do like, would I play? Because I like playing also, or all sorts of like, anything that has to do with like Celestial beings. Would I play a Celestial Hexblade? I think I will play a Celestial Warlock. I think I will play a Celestial Warlock.
Really? I mean, personally, don't get me wrong, Celestial Warlock's really cool. But if I had to pick, my first pick would probably be Hexblade. Then my second pick would probably be Fiend.
I can see that 100%. I think
maybe it's the Celestial. Like the Archfey is like my last pick. Something about it, I just don't like it. So
yeah. No, that's good. Do you want to finish this episode?
Yeah.
All right, finish it. Do the outro.
What? I'm doing the outro?
Yeah.
What? Are you not feeling up to it?
No, because I always do it. You got to do it once.
Well, no, just like you sound kind of tired to me.
Oh no. Well, I am a little tired, but that's because of the beers I have. Maybe 3 beers.
Okay. All right then. All right. Well, unfortunately, I wish we had more time to talk about the madness that is Warlocks, but that's all the time we have right now. So make sure to find us and subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, and pretty much literally any other app that you can listen to podcasts on.
I went on a crazy rampage and just like put us on every single podcast.
Yeah, you just yeah. And
please listen to us.
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. Do we have an Instagram? I think I asked that last time.
We do, but I don't post anything in there.
We don't do anything with those, but still follow us. You never know.
Yeah, give us a follow. Also, almost every Wednesday we play live on Twitch. Right now we're playing Curse of Strahd, DM by Andrew.
Yes.
And I know this is gonna be like 3 weeks after we're about to die.
The group might or might not be dead by the time this
comes out. Yeah, by the time this episode comes out, we may or may not be running them.
Yeah, we might be playing Curse of Strahd by the time this one comes out. And if so, it might be with a different cast of characters.
Yeah, there might not be a Celestial War.
Or there might not be a Blood Hunter. There might still be a fighter. He's pretty tough. No matter what I throw at him, he keeps going. So.
Yeah, for sure. But thank you for listening to us. And make sure to give us rate us and give us a review, some feedback. Let us know if you have any cool interest in Warlock character ideas, or if you just hate Warlocks. Let us know.
Yeah, tell us why Warlocks are crap, or don't.
Yeah, or don't. Whatever. I can't tell you what to do.
My patron can beat up your patron.
Yeah, screw you and your patron. All right, you guys have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week with another episode of Attack of Opportunity.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh. Now recording.
I stated. All right.
Craig, are you my Warlock patron?